Okay, let's kick things off. What if the future of AI, the one we always picture, all the walking robots, constantly chatting with digital assistants, what if that picture isn't quite right?
Right. What if it's unfolding differently?
Exactly. What if the biggest tech leap in history is happening, like, right now, but, well, it feels surprisingly gentle?
That's pretty much the core idea in the source material you brought for our deep dive today. We're digging into The Gentle Singularity by Sam Altman.
Yep, and our plan is to really unpack his vision from this piece, where he thinks AI is right now.
Where it's heading, fast.
Super fast. And maybe most importantly, what that could mean for you, for everyone. This is straight for the source you gave us, trying to understand his specific viewpoint.
And he jumps right in with a pretty bold claim, doesn't he, that we're already past the event horizon.
Yeah, that the takeoff, that big acceleration, it's already started.
But, and this is the key part, it's happening in this gentle way, not like this sudden sci-fi guac.
Right, it's not immediately obvious everywhere. Like you said, no robot armies on the streets.
Most people aren't having deep AI conversations all day.
But the argument in the source is, even so, these systems are getting smarter than us in lots of specific areas.
And they're really amplifying what people can do. He points to things like GPT-403, those kinds of tools.
And he even suggests that the really hard parts, the fundamental scientific breakthroughs needed for this, they might actually be behind us already.
Which, wow. And that leads directly into what he sees coming, like really soon, the capabilities that are arriving fast.
He gets pretty concrete with timelines, which is definitely attention-grabbing. He's saying by 2025.
Next year.
Yeah, next year. We'll see agents doing actual cognitive tasks. He specifically mentions coding, saying it'll change forever.
Then, just after that, 2026. He thinks it's likely we'll have AI systems figuring out totally new scientific insights on their own.
Discovering things. And then, looking just a bit further, maybe 2027, that's when we might see robots doing actual physical tasks out in the world.
You stack those up, 2025, 26, 27, and the potential impact on just individual productivity is massive.
Yeah, the source suggests that what one person can achieve by, say, 2030 compared to 2020, it's going to be a stark difference, and people will figure out how to use it.
And that capability jump changes how we even think about AI, right? He has a great phrase.
Wonders become routine.
Exactly. You see AI do something amazing, generate perfect text or whatever.
And your first reaction is, wow. But then, like 5 minutes later...
Yeah, you're asking, okay, but when can it write the whole novel?
Or it gives you a diagnosis.
Which is incredible.
But then you're immediately like, yeah, but can it find the cure?
Or it writes a little bit of code and you want it to build the entire company. That super fast adaptation, that normalization. He argues that's exactly what the singularity feels like when you're living in it. It's always the next thing. The baseline just keeps shifting up really fast. And looking out to the 2030s, the source makes this truly huge prediction.
About intelligence and energy.
Yeah, becoming wildly abundant.
And that's crucial because those two things, intelligence and energy, have always been the big limiters on what humanity can do, right?
Totally. The fundamental constraints.
So if they become cheap and everywhere, assuming we have, decent governance.
Which is a big assumption, but okay.
Then theoretically, we could have almost anything else we need or want.
That's a massive concept to wrap your head around. And he thinks the actual cost of intelligence will plummet.
Eventually, yeah. Down towards basically the cost of electricity.
Oh.
Because the things that make the intelligence, the data centers, the production of those could become automated.
Okay. And it's interesting, he gives some actual numbers to try and ground this, like the energy for a chat GPT query.
Yeah, about 0.34 watt hours, which for comparison is like running an oven for just over a second.
Okay, tiny. Or an efficient LED bulb for a couple of minutes.
And water. I know that's a concern too.
That also small per query, like 0.00085 gallons. He says it's about a 1/15 of a teaspoon.
So while the total use across billions of queries adds up.
Right, the individual cost is low, which suggests it can scale, potentially.
Okay, so this move towards abundant intelligence, it's not just going to happen on its own. He talks about accelerating flywheels.
Yeah, feedback loops making it happen faster.
How does AI speed itself up?
Well, one way is researchers are already using AI tools right now. He mentioned scientists reporting like a 2x or 3x productivity boost.
Wow.
So AI becomes a tool for doing AI research faster, finding better algorithms, maybe even new ways to compute things.
So it's not quite the sci-fi trope of AI spontaneously rewriting its own code to get smarter overnight.
Not yet, maybe. He calls it a larval version of that recursive self-improvement. The tools help us make better tools, which help us make better tools.
Got it. And that creates economic value.
Huge economic value, which then fuels the drive to build more infrastructure, more data centers, bigger models. It's a compounding cycle.
And this isn't just digital. He sees physical automation feeding into this too.
Well, absolutely. Robots, building more robots, data centers, building more data centers. That's the vision he thinks isn't too far off.
So even if the first batch of robots needs to be built the old way.
Right, maybe the first million. But those robots could then run the supply chains, do the mining, the driving, work the factories.
Build more robots and chip fabs and data centers.
Exactly. That physical feedback loop could dramatically speed up the rate of progress across the board.
Okay, this level of acceleration, this kind of exponential change,
Yeah.
it obviously raises huge questions about society, the impacts, the challenges.
And he doesn't shy away from that. He's upfront saying, yeah, there will be hard parts, like whole categories of jobs just disappearing.
That's a big one.
Definitely a major challenge. But the flip side he presents is if the world gets so much richer so quickly, it might actually enable new kinds of policies, new social contracts, things that seem unaffordable now. It won't change overnight, but gradual shifts could add up to something massive over time.
And he seems pretty optimistic about our ability to adapt.
He really emphasizes human adaptability, points to history, like the Industrial Revolution. Huge disruption, but people figured out new things to do, new things to want. We absorb tools pretty fast.
So expectations go up, capabilities go up, and we end up with better stuff, as he puts it.
That seems to be his view, yeah. And he adds this interesting human element.
What's that?
That we're fundamentally wired to care about other people, social status, connection. We don't really care about machines in the same way.
So that human-to-human focus remains kind of an anchor.
Yeah, maybe a buffer against some of the changes.
He also had that really interesting analogy about future jobs.
Oh, the fake jobs idea.
Yeah, like a farmer from 1,000 years ago looking at us tapping on screens.
And I'm thinking, what are they even doing? It's not real work.
Right. And the source suggests that maybe jobs 1,000 years from now might look just as fake to us.
But they'll still feel important and meaningful to the people doing them then.
It's a fascinating perspective shift. And alongside work, he touches on maybe changes to experience itself.
Suggests that while most people might live fairly familiar lives, some might choose deeper tech integration.
Like plugging in. He mentions high-bandwidth brain-computer interfaces.
Yeah, as a potential choice for some people down the line.
Okay, so living through this, even a gentle version, means dealing with some serious risks. Safety seems paramount.
Absolutely. He's very clear. We have to solve safety. Both the technical AI safety part, making sure the systems do what we intend.
And the societal safety part, managing the broader impacts.
And tied to that, because superintelligence could be so powerful economically and politically.
It can't be concentrated.
Exactly. Why distribution is critical. He says having it controlled by one person or one company or one country would be incredibly dangerous.
Which leads right into what he calls maybe the most important challenge, the alignment problem. Can you break that down based on the source?
Sure. It's basically the challenge of getting these super smart AI systems to learn and act towards what we collectively really want over the long term.
Okay. Seems simple enough stated like that.
But it's tricky. He uses the social media feed example. The AI is great at optimizing for what keeps you scrolling right now, your short-term preference, but it might do that by exploiting psychological tricks that actually go against your longer-term well-being or what you'd really want if you step back. That gap is misalignment.
Okay, that makes sense. The short-term optimization overriding the long-term goal.
Exactly. So, given these massive challenges, safety, distribution, alignment, what's the path forward according to Altman's piece?
Two big things. First, really focus on solving alignment robustly.
Get that right.
Second, make superintelligence cheap and widely available. Avoid concentration.
And he seems generally pretty optimistic about our collective ability to navigate this.
Yeah. He expresses faith in society's resilience, creativity, adaptability. We'll make mistakes, sure.
Learn from them.
Learn from them. Adapt quickly. Try to get the most upside and minimize the downside. And a big part of that, he argues, is user freedom.
Letting people use the tools how they want.
Within broad societal limits, yeah. Limits that we need to figure out together.
Which brings us to his call to action.
Right. that the world needs to start having this conversation now. Defining those boundaries, figuring out collective alignment, sooner the better, he says.
And all this builds towards a kind of grand vision for the industry, right? He mentions building a brain for the world.
Yeah, that's the phrase. Something super personalized, super easy for anyone to tap into.
And if you have that, and execution gets easier and easier because of AI, what becomes the bottleneck?
Good ideas.
Exactly. Not the doing, but the deciding what to do.
He has that line about how tech people used to kind of mock the idea guys.
Uh-huh. The ones without the coding skills, maybe.
Yeah. But he thinks now, with execution power becoming abundant, those people with genuinely good, novel ideas, they might really have their day in the sun.
That's a big shift in where value comes from.
So, wrapping back to the experience of it all, living through this gentle singularity, it might feel impressive day to day, but manageable.
That seems to be the core argument. It's relativistic. It doesn't feel like a single sudden cliff you fall off. It happens bit by bit.
A smooth curve, even if it's exponential.
Right. He uses that analogy of looking at an exponential curve. Looking forward, the next step always seems impossibly steep, vertical.
Yeah.
But when you look back at the progress you just made, it seems kind of flat in comparison to where you are now.
That's a good way to put it. It's hard to internalize that exponential pace. Like he says, if someone in 2020 told you we'd have near AGI by 2025.
You'd think, no way, that's pure sci-fi.
But living through the last 5 years, the progress, while incredibly fast, has felt, well, continuous. Just very, very fast continuity.
And his final hope, expressed in the piece, is quite striking in its simplicity, isn't it?
Yeah. May we scale smoothly, exponentially, and uneventfully through superintelligence.
Uneventfully, that's the gentle part again.
Okay, that was a really rich deep dive. We've covered his view on the rapid capabilities coming, the idea of abundant intelligence and energy.
The flywheel speeding things up, the societal shifts, the huge challenge of alignment.
Right, and the need for distribution, the changing value of ideas. It paints a picture of this massive transformation that's already happening.
But felt maybe not as a shock, but as this continuous compounding acceleration, life just getting dramatically more capable, incrementally.
So maybe final thought to leave everyone with, pulling directly from the source material here. Altman throws out these possibilities, like the pace of discovery accelerating so much that maybe we solve high-energy physics 1 year.
Insert colonizing space the next.
Or make a huge materials science breakthrough, and then very shortly after, get true high-bandwidth brain-computer interfaces.
And as you mentioned, he explicitly says some people might choose to plug in with those.
So the question to chew on is, what does it actually mean for us, for humanity, for what it even means to be human, when the speed of fundamental discovery hits that kind of pace? And when the very nature of reality, or at least your experience of it, becomes potentially a choice?
Heavy stuff to think about.
Definitely. A lot to consider there.